So welcome back everybody, my name is Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. If this is your first time visiting the channel, thanks so much for stopping by. We do DIY projects all the time. So this episode is about us building our outdoor bar stools. We just got done building the outdoor kitchen here. That was a very successful series on the channel. If you're interested in that, I'll put some links down in the description and at the end of this video if you're watching on YouTube. And as y'all can see, the outdoor space is completely changed. It is now a playpen. And this is the little creature named Ruger, who has been responsible for me not getting some work done here lately because we've had to play and make him a priority. All right, so before we jump into the metalwork, I'm gonna go ahead and start on our bar stool seats because I have to sand these, prep them, stain them, and then I'm gonna poly coat them. That way we get a nice protective layer on them for all the wear and tear that they're gonna get over the years. So I went to Lowe's and picked up, they already have pre-cut and laminated stain grade bar stool seats right here. They were relatively affordable, saves me the work of having to go get a large piece of wood that's very expensive right now, cut it down, sand it, plus I get a thicker stool doing it this way. Now the thing of it is, these come very rough, still have sharp edges on them, the way they routed them real quick, knots and dimples all in them. I guess they already have character, we'll call it, because some of this stuff I can't even get out. So I'm gonna run over all this for a little while with my orbital sander with 220 grit and then hand sand all the edges, clean it all off, and then we're ready for stain. Okay, so I have some very thick wall square tubing here. This stuff weighs way too much. Couldn't even pick it up. That's why I had to bring it in with a tractor. I just picked up a piece that my local metal supplier actually had, and it's probably twice as thick as the material that I need for these post bases. But I grabbed what he had in stock instead of ordering a huge stick in that would have been even more money than this. So this is going to be fun to cut. I'm going to attempt to cut this with my plasma cutter so I'm not sitting here forever with a angle grinder and cutoff wheel. Not to mention that's not a very safe way to cut, but that's what I've been doing for years. I should probably make a cut into this first so the plasma cutter could blow into the pipe. But hey, we just got this thing, we're gonna experiment. Let's see if we can make this cut without doing that. Oh, baby. That works so good. Why didn't I get one of these sooner? Why didn't I get one sooner? So absolutely not at all necessary to make a cut ahead of time. So I forgot to mention this is 1/4 inch wall tubing. Really thick stuff. Major overkill for this project. I love it. Man, metalwork just got a whole lot easier. Now I'm using 1/4 inch plate for the base, which is plenty thick enough to bolt this down with. However, 1/4 inch is thin enough that it can warp quite a bit. So you're going to see me make short welds and then move to another side, move around, and leave sections of weld. And I may even go ahead and move on to a different one. That way I'm giving this plate time to cool. If I run these big, heavy, long welds all the way around, I'm going to wind up warping this plate, and it's not going to fit very good on the porch over there. All right, so I got on my goods store Amazon here and picked up some of these 8-inch swivels here. We typically call them boat seat swivels, but they have them in different sizes. 8 seem to be about perfect for this project. So I could cut out even more plate and weld to the top of the base and then bolt these to it. That starts lifting everything up. You can see the bolts then. It doesn't look as good. So I kind of thought the easiest thing to do is to ground the paint off the bottom, throw a few thick tack welds on here, and I can always take these back up if one of these swivels ever go bad, cut the 4 tack welds I'm going to put on it and replace it really easy. All right, so after a few passes back and forth, you wind up with a nice bent piece just like this. So I'm trying to set it to where it's very, very close to the arch of the seat. That's actually very important for a safety reason. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Now I'm going to use this as a template for all these other ones, bend them real quick, match it up to this, and then we're going to go get to welding. What's up, buddy? Come on here to hang out with me in the shop. Yeah. All right, so what is next? I have multiple coats of paint on these bases now and several coats on the bottom because that's where I'm more concerned about paint potentially chipping, being in contact with the concrete and causing rust and rust stains. So I already have a way to address that in the future if I start seeing any sort of problems with that. I also used a satin polyurethane, bought it in spray cans this time because it's such a small project, no point in bringing the big paint gun out. I did 2 light coats, 1 thick coat on top, let that cure several hours in between each coat, and then I did 2 light coats on the bottom. Definitely want to seal the bottom because I don't want to wind up with moisture issues, mold, mildew, anything like that. So I have this fully encased in a polyurethane to help with being outside in the weather. So what I'm gonna do right now is go ahead and put all these up here, get the seats perfectly centered, mark them, put them on the table, drill the holes out, and I'm gonna use a very large 1/4 inch number 3 Phillips pan head screw to hold these in. And if I ever have any issues with these pulling loose, I don't think that I will, you can always drill the hole out and move up to a lag bolt. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen this trick. I don't want to drill all the way through my wood. It is exactly 1 inch thick. So what I'm going to do is put the bit in my drill, measure back about 3/4 of an inch, put a piece of painter's tape right there. So now I know as I drill down, as soon as the wood touches that painter's tape, I need to stop. Because if I drill all the way through this wood, man, this project is ruined. All right, so if y'all watched me build this house, you've seen that this drill right here got a lot of use. I highly recommend this Bosch Bulldog hammer drill if you have a little bit of concrete drilling to do in your future. It's more than paid for itself. So this is a hammer drill. It spins around and hammers at the same time. I've got a 3/8 inch masonry bit in here. And that's because I want to mount these down with this style concrete anchor. So you drill a 3/8 hole, you actually hammer this down in there, and when you start tightening this nut and this pulls up, you can see this piece right here will go down on this concave piece, and it starts expanding out, grips into the concrete as you tighten the nut itself down. The reason I like this style for this particular application is because I'm most likely going to be taking these stools out again at some point. If I see any rust build up on the bottom, I may take them out and put some stainless washers underneath, a piece of rubber, something like that. And I like the fact that I can just take a nut off, take these up. I may want to go repaint them, work on them, change out a swivel, all kinds of stuff. So I definitely want these removable. The type of concrete anchors that you drill a hole and then you put the anchor in from the top and it bites into the concrete, looks like a big screw. Well, those are really made for use one time. If you take those in and out, you're chipping and fracturing the concrete in there, and eventually they'll strip out. This style bites in one good time, it's always there. That's the bad part about it. You can't really remove it easily and patch the hole, but that nut is designed to come off and on. Now I'm gonna drill my hole deeper than these are actually going to be driven, because dust is going to fall down in the hole. It's going to build up, and I'm going to try to blow everything out as good as I can, but always drill your holes deeper than they need to be. This has a depth adjustment on the side, so you can get your fastener down in there on top of the dust that's ultimately going to settle in. I was wondering if that was going to wake my puppy up. All right, 15 more holes to go. So what's up, buddy? What you think of them? All right, so here we are with them finished. I apologize for the poor lighting. This is actually next morning. I had a mix-up with some of my footage. So here are the seats and some of the sunlight. Okay, so they are now complete. Like I said, it's next morning. I was just editing this video and realized my entire outro was lost due to some microphone issues with my GoPro. Been having a lot of problems with that here lately. I think it's time for me to invest in a better quality camera. So the good news is Tiffany and I used these seats all last night. We stayed out here for hours. Everything's nice and sturdy, good to go. Swivels work great. And as you can see, my feet are dangling like a little kid because these are very high bar stools, higher than normal, because we built such a high bar top. We built it for standing and being able to kind of lean against. That's what the whole back one is over there. That's a standing bar top on that side. This is your sitting side. So as you can see, we've got footrest on two different sides, and I spaced them plenty far enough out so if we have larger guests, taller guests with longer legs, they come, they still have room. Their knees are not knocking right here. But overall, this feels like the perfect height. So the reason that I have a footrest on the back side is because we're planning on building a outdoor space out here. Fire pit patio over here. Next spring, we're wanting to do a deck over here and then a pool out here. So no doubt, as we're up here cooking and entertaining with guests, something's going to be going on in the background with all that area that we have. People are probably going to want to kick around, talk, socialize. So I knew for sure that I wanted a footrest on this side. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video when I was bending these footrest pieces right here that I wanted to keep them a certain way for a safety issue. So if you'll notice, I bent those to match up with the radius of the stool, and they do not stick out any further than the stool top on both sides. There's a very specific reason for that. So whenever we were mocking up designs for the footrest, I did all that off camera. Tiffany and I were concerned, we like this style. We were concerned about people hitting their shins or catching their legs on it. Well, whenever we did a mock-up, we realized that naturally the way your legs fall, they kind of stay in line with your hips straight up and down. So as long as your hip is always making contact with this stool, you can notice my leg actually never gets anywhere near these footrests right here. It's just not, it doesn't feel natural to kick your leg out like that and actually hook it on the inside. So as you're walking in and out, not once with me messing around, as long as I stay contact right here, I've never once hit this footrest. I also rounded all the corners off, so there's no concern there of if somebody somehow does get their leg up underneath and kick that, it's not gonna hurt you. But I'm telling you, it just doesn't feel natural when you're walking in and out to get your leg up underneath and actually hit that footrest. So the reason that we built these this way is so we can bolt them down. We live in Florida, we get really bad afternoon thunderstorms a lot of time in the summer with significant winds that'll blow just about anything over on the porch, hurricanes, everything else. So the last thing I wanted was to build a traditional bar stool that you can pull in and out, just like the ones I built inside, because they would constantly be blown over out here and damaged, everything else. So I knew for sure I wanted something that I could bolt down that I did not have to worry with. So I'm glad we went with this style too, because I was going to build 5 or 6 pull-out chair style. Well, the spacing wouldn't have been correct. Actually, online shows 28 inches from center to center is the proper spacing to allow you to get in and out and to move around, and that's exactly what these wound up being once I spaced them out for this area. Now, coming up in a future build, seating's not going to be a problem. Again, we have a standing area, a sitting area, and later, probably this year, spring of next year, I'm going to build all of our outdoor seating area, which will go right over behind you. I want to build heavy duty furniture again that can't blow around, and we'll give plenty of seating out here for people. All right, well, thank y'all so much for watching. This completely changes the look of our outdoor kitchen, the functionality of it. Now we actually have somewhere that we can sit and enjoy this space. And I appreciate all the people that watched me build the outdoor kitchen. That's been a popular series. This is kind of one way to wrap it up slowly, although I do have one more video coming on the outdoor kitchen to where some little final add-ons and things that I suggest to y'all, because I know there's a ton of y'all looking into building your own outdoor kitchen. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Catch you on the next one.